And I want to see if we are live. Actually, thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Soundhariya. I'm the CMO of GoFloaters. Welcome to another interesting LinkedIn Live episode that we have curated for you. It's going to be live with none other than the boss himself. Boss, my appraisal is pending, boss, and the founder and CEO of GoFloaters. Thank you so much for joining today. I know it's a busy schedule. You've just come back from CoWorks and meeting a lot of these startups and companies that we've been helping build their hybrid teams, hybrid playbook, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to take a lot of your time. Just half
Sure.
an hour, and we are done with this interesting episode because all we want to do is probably an AMA about what this WorqFlexi is all about. We've been talking throughout, and in our previous episode, we did reveal some secrets from the employee's perspective, their
Right.
experience, performance, flexibility, why they should be moving out of their usual work from home setup, probably not go to office campuses even if they have or don't have, but move out for a lot of other reasons, right? We are going to be focusing on employers, the companies, the startups, why they should be adopting this particular hybrid work model, what their playbook should be, and what actually defines a lot of things that they have been talking about, their visions and missions and etc. So my
Right.
first question to you today is going to be directly jumping into the question: what is GoFloaters actually offering, and how is it different from what is available in the market?
Right. Right. So fundamentally, right. So real estate office or real estate has been available in three forms, right? From time immemorial, right? So either you can buy a building, you can lease a building, or you can rent out a part of the building or the whole of the building, right? And co-working has just been a layer on top of that, right? You get a furnished office, you get a managed space, you get some community. Still, you had to lease or rent them out and all that. So which means that you had a fixed capacity for a period of time in a particular location, right? In a particular city, in a particular lane, in a particular intersection. That's what office was, right? And for by and large, industrial age definition is okay, right? Because in the industrial age, you people had to come to the factory, right? You had to bring everybody to a location and get them to work because your raw materials were there, your machinery was there, your supply chain was delivering raw materials to that location. So you had to kind of do that, right? But in the knowledge work era, office, ideally the definition of office should have changed much before. But the defining moment like COVID had to happen for people to realize that in a knowledge work era, you don't need office from the industrial era, right? So we are still sticking to the office from the industrial era, just that machines were taken away by laptops, raw materials were taken away by emails, right? But still, fundamentally, you are getting to the same location and doing your work, and you were having a fixed schedule, right? 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or Monday to Saturday, whatever, right? So anyway, so COVID taught us a lesson that work can happen at a large scale. Work can happen inside a company even without a latitude longitude being associated with that. People can be anywhere and do that, right? So this is kind of at the same time, right? People have also realized that you permanent work from home or permanent remote is also not a solution, right? I mean, we have seen people complaining about early part of pandemic. People are complaining about loneliness. They were talking about higher stress levels, right? People are talking about empathy not being there because people did not understand each other's pains and challenges while working remotely, right? Team bonding took a nosedive because you're not seeing anybody. A lot of people joined remotely, so they're not getting inducted into the company properly, right? They don't know who they're working for, what is the mission vision. They're not able to fully absorb the culture of the company. So now what companies have started to realize that yes, you need to have a healthy mix of remote, as in work from home, right? For the better part of the definition, you need to have work from home, but at the same time, you need something, a place where people can assemble, people can come together and work together, right? Or build relationships, work relationships together, right? And people can actually a lot of stuff like still I would say for brainstorming, for troubleshooting, for problem solving, in person, being in person, nothing beats in person, right? You can have any number of collaborative tools, but nothing beats in person. A simple whiteboard with a black marker, right? And a duster does so much more than any number of whiteboarding tools that you've seen. And so something we've done that so many times over, right? That one whiteboard becomes the play field for so many ideas and so much of like
Literally creates the magic.
yeah. So that whiteboard has never been replaced, and I don't think so it will be ever replaced fully by a digital tool, right? So companies have realized this, right? And that's what exactly we provide, right? So we help distributed teams more specifically, gain instant access to work and meeting spaces when they want, where they want, the time that they want, right? So in simple words, you want to book a desk, you want to book a meeting room in any part of India, you can employees of companies that we work with can do that through the app, right? And the employers take care of the billing, right? So employees don't have to worry about spending money and paying and all that, right? So we've made technology for it, right? We have built probably India's widest ecosystem of co-working brands. So there are around 300 brands that we work with today across 43 plus cities. So that way you could be anywhere in India. We could provide you with a plug and play, ready to move. I mean, ready to kind of start working kind of a space near your home, and hopefully very near your home, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes commute. So that's what we
So,
do.
Shyam,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Sham, I'm going to stop you right there and ask you this very simple question, right? So now, whatever you said made a lot of sense, but some of them might be thinking this is just an Uber for co-working, or a Book My Show for the booking platform,
Right.
right?
Right.
But what is it that we do beyond all of this, beyond just a space booking, for an from the perspective of an employer, from the perspective of a company,
Right.
right?
Right.
What is it that we provide, and why are they important?
Fair point. Yeah. So yes, we are that, right? Like you said, we are Book My Show for co-working or Uber for co-working. That's the bottom-most layer, right? But then we built layers on top of that make it a lot more useful for companies to work with us, right? So fundamentally, right? We touched upon this in the last episode as well, right? COVID or hybrid remote or remote working, there's a blank question paper, and you have to write answers on a blank sheet of paper as well, right? So none of the companies can claim on the planet today can claim that they have a winning formula for implementing hybrid work, right? And you don't have a cookie cutter approach, right? A company, what works for a company A cannot work for company B, right? So and what works even within the company, what works for team A cannot work for team B, right? So and individuals are individuals, right? So somebody who's newly joined a company will probably behave differently than somebody who's been in your company for quite some time, right? Their needs and their aspirations are different, right? How do you cat so when you have so many variables and so many ifs and buts in the process, and so many unknown questions, right? Because you don't even know the questions, right? So how do you even attempt to answer that, right? The only thing that you can do is to learn from the data, right? And constantly tweak, right? It's not like you write a formula on the board and everybody copies that formula. It doesn't can't work that way, right? So every individual will create their own formula. Every team will create their own formula, and the company has to be accommodative for all of this, and they have to tweak their overall hybrid work policies and all that. So that's where we have invested quite a bit of our energy and time in creating like for lack of a better word, a dashboard that employers can use to really dig deep into how their teams are working, right? And how is the physical space, access to this physical space, how is that helping teams, right? And which teams is it helping, which individuals is it helping, right? What are the trends like, right? When do they prefer to come to the office, right? When do they prefer to come to have a meeting, right? How long do the meetings last, right? How frequently are teams meeting, right? And what is the average size of the team that's meeting today, right? How is Bangalore performing compared to Chennai performing? I mean, people in Bangalore versus people in Chennai, because again, like a kilometer in one city could mean different travel times in different parts of the world, right? Different parts of India. So what is okay for 5 kilometers may be okay for city A, but 5 kilometers may not be okay for city B. So and obviously I'm not attempting to talk down of Bangalore, as you know, right? I'm very friendly with Bangalore. So anyways,
I was just going to ask you that.
no. I'm definitely not referring to Bangalore. Bangalore is the best
Yeah, yeah.
place, right?
But having said this, Sham, we have you said lack of words, but I think the simple word as a dashboard means so much more for the management, right? It means metrics, it means data, it means how to enhance the employee experience, the performance, and so on and so
Right,
forth.
right.
Uh, but is it expensive for companies?
So,
This is time and again we always face this question because everybody is apprehensive to adopt this model, thinking that it is going to be an expensive affair, a daunting task, and so on.
yeah. So one is that the daunting task part of it. I mean, most of the cases we are live in a couple of hours, right? So the company signs a contract with us, we are live in 2 hours, right? So we just need to do some basic setup, the rules, right? So okay, so there are multiple apprehensions that come in, right? Cost is certainly an apprehension, so I'll address that first, and maybe we can jump to quickly to the other ones as well, right? So first and foremost, so our model is kind of unique. I mean, if you go back to the roots of why GoFloaters even began, was the idea of providing economical plug and play on-demand workspaces to freelancers. That's how we started, right? So for our DNA, economical is like kind of part of the DNA, right? Anything that we do is going to be like literally what's the best value for the money that we can give for our customers, right? So that's been our DNA of GoFloaters from the very beginning, right? So the unique model in which we work is like today we don't charge our clients for the platform, right? We don't charge them 1 rupee for the technology, right? So the technology is provided as a package solution, and we don't charge for the technology, right? So then how do we make money? The only way we make money is by earning commissions from co-working businesses, right? So we don't mark up the prices. So if a desk is at 500 rupees on WeWork's website or 99 Springboard's website, you will find the same desk to be available at the same price on GoFloaters as well. So we don't mark up the prices. So the only way we do it is like by trying to do a volume game here, right? By I mean, for us as an entity, the only way we become sustainable as a commercial entity is to do more and more volume, so that we can get more and more commissions from our co-working partners, right? Not by we don't charge back or mark up the prices or even charge for the technology to our clients. So fortunately, that model seems to be working, because fundamentally we are saying our USP is that you get to save. One of the USPs is that you get to save a lot on your real estate costs, right? And I think we did this mathematics a few months back, right? One of our clients saved like
Yes.
46% on real estate costs, if not more, right? At least 46% on the real estate spend. So that's one of our big USPs. So obviously, we have to stay true to it, right? So we don't charge for the technology. So you pay only for the space. You're buying the space. The product that you buy is a desk or a meeting room, and whatever the cost for that is what you pay. You don't pay anything more than that, because you have this platform and you have this superlative technology that is helping you do different things. We don't charge for that.
So interesting, because we have always remained asset light, and we have encouraged a lot of other companies also to stay asset light in terms of
Right.
adopting the hybrid work model.
Right.
Now, so what are these datas and metrics that we are talking about, right? Everybody talks about data nowadays, but what is it that the employees can learn from this? Why is
Right.
it important?
Yeah, like I said, right? So you don't have answers for how your companies are working, right? And I think gone I mean, many employees have depended too much on surveys and trying to find what people want. But again, hey boss, if you ask me, would you go and vote, you will say yes. But if you vote, you will not vote, right? So it's like surveys are like that, right? So you say something, but you don't do that, because when it comes to you, right, you act differently, right? When it comes to world peace, you will respond something, right? But then you'll fight with your neighbor for them letting their dog into your backyard, right? So then where is world peace? So anyway, so the point is like people don't behave the same way in the real world, right? They say something in the ideal world, they would say something. So how do you then understand how your teams actually are working, right? And then there are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that even experts don't have an answer, right? So how to improve the collaboration within teams? How do you increase the team bonding between team members? How do you when the new employee joins your company, how do you even induct them into the team better? How do they feel a part of the whole organization that they've been recruited for, right? And every employer worth their salt should also look at how do I help this employee grow in my company? How do I help this employee grow as a professional in their setup, right? And I mean, everybody in the world, including Elon Musk, including Sam Altman from OpenAI, everybody's talked about people don't progress when they work remotely, right? So if every company that's is interested in the progress of their employees, they have to figure out a way in which they can bring their employees together in a social setting. They can bring people back. They can make people see everybody else around them, right? Learn from them, right? Set role models for themselves. And we touched about this role model thing in the last episode as well. So kind of all of this has to happen, and all of this cannot happen in a Zoom or a Google Meet, right? So those are the things that companies can help. And how do you know that this is happening? How do you know that this is the money that you're spending on the space is actually leading to this, right? and how do you know which teams, for which teams is it working out, for which teams it's not working out, right? So you need data for that, and that raw data is what, that data and the data analytics and insights around this is what we provide. So for example, we would provide like, what is the average meeting duration for your marketing teams, which co-working space is favorite amongst your team members, right? Who's like a frequent user of this, right? Which teams are using co-working spaces more, right? Which days of the week they prefer, right? What are the data patterns emerging, right? So are there, is it Mondays and Tuesdays, is it Thursdays and Fridays, right? What days are they, what patterns, each team is settling into different patterns, right? So I just came, like you told, I just came from another client offices. So there's one team in that team that every Wednesday they've made it a routine to be at the office as much as possible every Wednesday, right? So that team has a different rhythm, and different team has a different rhythm, right? So how do you understand these heartbeats of your company, right? How are they pulsing, right? Unless you put an ECG on your heart, you will not know how your heart is pumping. You can
Right.
just only assume that it's pumping, right? And it is pumping, right? But then if you need to really know it's pumping healthy, you need to understand the data and use the data to make decisions, right? Whether you need to do a scan, or you need to get admitted, or pray to God, you need to know. The data will really tells you, right? So then you need the data, and that data is what we provide.
So, can companies pilot this? Is there any trial version?
So
Or
I would so trial, yes, trial, but not free, right? So you can start off with like two
nothing
employees.
comes for free.
No,
Nothing
we
comes
can't
for free.
afford, free as a startup. We can't afford free, so we don't do free, right? I mean, deep and I mean, we don't have deep pockets. Neither do we feel that people should. I mean, people should see value for it, right?
Right.
Zero free means like it's not. How do you measure the value for it, right? You can only measure when you spend and you get a result. You can compare it and then say, yeah, I've got more value than I spent. So anyway, so we don't do free, but we have companies that are like 5 employees in India, right? 3 employees in one city that pilot it out. Let's take our biggest case study as well, Chargebee. They started off with like 300 employees, and I mean, it's the largest teams, but I'm saying that every employer that we worked out with has always gone through a pilot, right? They want to test the waters, which is a very, very fair point, right? Everybody should kind of see if uh, this is fitting their needs, right? So we are happy to do pilot of any scale, right? So most of the companies top up, their initial top up is 5,000 rupees, right? And even that is like fully refundable if they don't use it, right? So 5,000 rupees is where most of the companies start. So 5,000 rupees is like, in today's world, for a company is like very small amount. It's a how do you say, it's a risk that's worth taking, right? Worst case scenario, what's going to happen, right? Like, after a few bookings, you'll realize that after 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees, you'll realize that maybe your teams don't need this, and that's fine. So 2,000 rupees is not a bad investment of money to get real data and use that for your remote model or hybrid remote model.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was on mute. But I'm going to jump to another section of our conversation because we've spoken about WorkFlexi, how useful it is, why companies should adopt this model, and what kind of savings and all of the employer benefits that we're going to have. I'm going to have not a rapid fire, but a true or false question that would probably give a lot more. Uh, you know better understanding of what this we have been talking about, right? Number one, hybrid work model allows employees to work both remotely, in office, or work from home. True or false?
True.
Hybrid work model are perfect for all type of businesses.
False. Manufacturing sector for sure doesn't fit the bill. Where there's a lot of hardware startups, right? Hardware
Right.
startups don't fit the bill because you've got software, hardware, everything prototyping. You need probably equipment in your in your office, so it doesn't work really well. So anything that can be done, a knowledge work, a pure knowledge work, any industry, any client that has knowledge work, I mean, that happens to be their biggest chunk of their workforce. And the physical requirements are a laptop and internet connection. They can switch to, they can do hybrid remote. Again, when it's not saying like you can switch from Colgate to Pepsodent, right? It's not as simple as that. You've got to kind of grow into hybrid remote, right? You can't like switch and say, now from today we are hybrid. it's not going
Right.
to happen.
Obviously, everything has its a system and processes in place, so we need to
Right.
follow that. Now, next question. These adaptive models that we have, WorkFlexi or anything else that we have, right? It can improve work-life balance for employees.
True. True.
Okay.
And yeah, and okay, maybe so it's true or false. So let me so reserve the explanation for later.
Right. So adopting these models means that employees can work whenever and wherever they want.
True.
True?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm going to make a small change to it. It's not whenever, right? Everybody has a productivity time, a core time that they need to follow as per the task. So I'm going to keep it balanced. That's my view on it.
Sure.
Um, these models can be difficult to measure in terms of employee performance.
See, employee performance has always been tough to measure, right? So hybrid or remote versus everything else, right? What has become a lot more lot more problematic is the accountability in a 100% remote setup, right?
Right.
So creating the accountability and you can't peep over people's shoulder. It gets very creepy, right? So you got to have a balance of creating the accountability, and the accountability will automatically come in when people feel a part of a team, right? They feel part that they have a responsibility. They have responsibility to their teammates, right? More than the company, they have they're responsible to their teammates, and their effective performance is leading to the team succeeding, right? So that's a little bit more easier in hybrid remote because team bonding is slightly better, collaboration is slightly better, right? You can communicate better, right? On like a manager can communicate their plan better in a whiteboard in a meeting room than doing any number of presentations on Zoom and Google Meets. So definitely, accountability is definitely better in a hybrid remote setup, right? Measuring employees' performance has always been challenging. The companies that have switched over to outcome based, right, rather than saying that, yeah, I give you a task, you did it on time, right? But then giving an accountability based sorry, outcome based performance measurements have always been doing better before COVID or after that, right? So that challenge can, in my opinion, still remains the same.
Interesting. Next question. A lack of understanding or measurement of employee performance is a reason for not adopting hybrid work models.
I think more than lack of that, I think a lack of trust, right? Uh, I mean, rather than saying up employee performance, yeah, I think in a way you could say yes. I would say yes, right? So, short story, yes, because I think it stems from the fact that you don't know that the employee is working, right? So you want the employees to work under your nose, literally. You want to be on the guard. You want to, as a manager, you want to walk the aisle and just see everybody's on their
And
laptop.
not just sit behind the cubicles, glassed cubicles.
Yeah. So you want to kind of want to do the what what in communities watchmen do with the stick. You want to do this as a manager. You want to go around and see everybody's working. So I mean, so the lack of trust and lack of this transfer of accountability, right? And effectively transferring the accountability. Hey, I as a manager of this team, I have this accountability, right? And I'm entrusting this with your team, with my team, and each of you have to show this accountability and perform accordingly and all that. So that people find it extremely unnerving to do that if people are not really under their supervision all the time.
Interesting. Next question. I'm sure you will have an explanation for this also. Encouraging a hybrid work model requires effective management and communication.
Yes, answer is yes. Remote hybrid communication is going to be the key of making it work.
Next question. Adopting a hybrid work model, any of these models can save businesses money on office space and infrastructure costs.
Yes, absolutely yes. Right. So, I mean, take any business on the planet now. They are probably having 50% occupancy of their office spaces. Right. Has office spaces, 50 and probably at best 70 people who have been very military about people coming back to office. They probably have 70%. But then, so I mean, you're paying for more than what you need. So then that's obviously a waste of money.
Interesting. Having a hybrid work playbook, like we've been talking about, can help businesses maintain consistency in their approach to a remote or in office work.
Yes, but again, this playbook, like we have said, playbook does not come. You don't download the playbook, right?
Right.
You don't get you don't copy somebody else's playbook and then
Right.
say, "Here's mine." So
Right.
you've got to use the data to come up with your playbook over a period of time. And even like the meeting that I'm coming from, this company, this client, we've been working for the last year and a half, right? And still there are some pieces of the puzzle that are not fitting properly, right? So it's like you it's a legacy, right? The playbook is built over a period of time. You've got to have the patience to do that.
Okay. My last question. Improved employee experiences can lead to increased productivity and profitability for businesses.
Yes. I mean,
Absolutely.
again, that's always been the case, right? So I'll
Right.
take some anecdotal examples, right?
Right.
So again, I mean, it's not like talking about GoFloaters, but it's anecdotal examples, right? Last week or week and a half back, I met somebody. She said, like, I asked her, like, hey, why do you come to a co-working space, right? A smiling answer from her was like to get dressed up, right? So to fully dress up and get ready and come. But then, I mean, that's obviously was not the end of the answer. The next part of the answer was more profound, right? The thing is, like, I switch into the, I mean, when I get dressed up, when I come to a place, I feel more responsible.
Absolutely.
I've got lost internet connection.
Yes. I'm
Sound
here.
I'm audible. Okay, and
Yes.
I think I briefly lost my internet
Yeah.
connection, right? So and she feels that she's able to switch to the professional role and stay switched on for a longer period of time when she's like physically at a place, right? So the routine of getting dressed up and coming to the office, like, I mean, that cushion that it creates between the home and the work atmosphere, right, is the cushion that many people uh, yearn for when they work from home, right? Because you're not able to switch over completely, you're not able to switch back completely. You're always in a gray zone where you're constantly trying to a father. From now, I'm so and so, right, at work, right? I'm a manager at work, or I'm a developer at work. So that switch is certainly improving productivity. And like you said, right, hybrid remote and the flexibility to work at different times, right? So each person has a different like I work really better in the evening, right? Mornings are not my time, right? So I try to do all the mundane stuff in the morning and try to do more creative stuff in the evening. So different people have different routines, right? So now in a hybrid, in a traditional office, when 9 to 5, right, you're kind of saying that you've got to be your best at this time, but people are not, may not be the best at this time, right? So by being hybrid and by being flexible on when they work, where they work, and possibly to some extent when they work, I mean, where they work, you can optimize on the sweet spots of different people, right? And they can bring their best during that time. So it's like each person can design when their power play overs are, right? So uh, if I'm slow to bat, I can probably say my power play starts like 4 hours down the line. I can hit shots after 4 hours, but somebody like Surya Kumar Yadav can say first ball is my power play. I can start hitting from the first ball. So each person can design their power play and then work accordingly.
Very interesting, nice anecdotals, and I'm very sure this has been an interesting case for people to gain their knowledge about what is this playbook. We have revealed all the secrets possible for to encourage people to adopt any kind of remote hybrid work models that they should be for the benefit of cost savings, employee experience, and flexibility to the fullest. Thank you so much, Sham. But before we go, I have few more minutes left. I'm going to ask you to let you pitch probably for WorqFlexi here on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live as well.
Cool. Okay, sure. So basically, so GoFloaters. I mean, I started off with this, so I'll probably end up with this, right? So it's kind of, in simple words, it lets your teams work when I mean, work and meet at a co-working space which is mutually convenient or near their home when they want, where they want, right? And as an employer, you only spend for the time the space is being used. So you're not spending money on real estate inventory, whether you use it or not. So on a pay-per-use model, your teams can gain access to instantly gain access to work and meeting spaces almost anywhere in India, right? That's the value proposition that we provide. And in the process, we also help you learn from the data, help you understand how your teams are working, and definitely help you save a lot of money on real estate spends.
I'm sure it's already ringing, help save a lot of money in these situations, the economic situations that all of us are going through. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much, Sham. I know time is really, really precious and hard to get your appointment, but
For everybody who's joined us as well. So
absolutely.
mutually
And
respect.
thank you so much for all your patience. I know you've been having a lot of busy schedule, but coming here and listening to us or viewing us a little later, it's it's been a pleasure hosting you today, Sham. And thank you so much for joining us, audience. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra, for hosting. And yeah, I really love the true or false question, right? So thank you.
So I did my homework. Thank
Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
you.
yeah, just thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.